Cheers.
Hey guys, I'm Amy with Perspective Cellars on Main Street in Fredericksburg, and this is the first in our Vintners series to get to know our winemaker partners. So tonight we have the Adega Vinho family, and they're going to share their story of how they got started. And I'll just let you guys start by introducing yourselves so everyone knows who you are. And we'll start with how you ended up where you are now.
Well, I'm Michael Bilger, and so our state vineyard is Bilger Family Vineyards here, and our winery and wine label is Adega Vinho. And so a little bit of separation sometimes, but we're the same thing now. We have 12 acres of state vines planted, 4 acres of cork leaf. New 8 acres planted last spring.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm Andy Bilger.
And then we've got brother Andy over here.
I'm Andy, and this is my wife Alana.
Hi.
He's the one who...
So you guys shared with me, Andy, that this interest in grapes and grapevines kind of started back when you were a teenager and you would go out to California for the summers. And if I remember right, you were a surfer dude back then. And you would drive along California coastline and see just these beautiful rows and rows of grapevines growing, and it kind of planted a seed, literally and figuratively, that kind of fast forwarded to this point in your life where you and your brother and your families decided that it was time to take a jump, a leap of faith, if you will, and get into the wine business. So this is not an easy business to break into. It is not a cheap venture. So tell me a little bit about kind of where that passion and that drive really pushed you guys to take this big step away from your real jobs, from your grown-up lives, and start a vineyard and open a winery.
Sure. Well, first let me disclose that I wasn't a surfer boy. I just love to surf, so I don't want to have any surfers come after me. I still do.
So you fell down a lot.
I still do, just let alone surf. But no, my brother and I both, a decade apart, spent our summers out in California, working for a rock climbing and backpacking venture in Yosemite, California, called Summit Expeditions. And so that was a whole part of both of our lives. Both of us, by the way, like to surf. We both skateboarded. We did all these things, but they're 13 years apart. So, about 2015, 2016, we decided that, or I decided that I really wanted to chase this dream of growing grapes and buying a property somewhere, and talked to Elena, and she was willing to try it and move forward. Talked to Michael, and he was excited about giving it a go. Both Michael and I and Elena at the time were working full time. Michael was in the oil business, so he was gone 60, 70 days at a time. I've been in real estate, development. Elena was a social worker. So we're coming at it from an area that maybe not a lot of people. We don't have 30 years of winemaking experience behind us, and we didn't start out knowing much about the business other than I have a degree in botany. I ran a greenhouse. Michael's spent a couple of years getting his Texas Tech certificate in viticulture and enology. And Elena's read a lot of books and drank a lot of wine. and hangs out with us.
My kind of gal.
So, we've hit it as a family, trying to concentrate on doing things right, being educated about how to do things. We ask probably more questions than our neighbors and mentors sometimes want to answer. But we are trying to have the highest quality grapes and the highest quality wine possible. We'd love to be known in the future as one of the top premier boutique wineries. We have no desire to go into distribution, and we like the whole process of growing our grapes and selling our wines that we make not 100 yards from where we're talking right now. Our grapevines are just off the screen, about 30 foot away, and our production facility is about 100 feet behind us, not even 100 yards. So anyway, to bring that all back down to a distillation of what we're doing, you know, Michael took 3 months off of work to help put the vineyard in, and then he was going to go back to work. And after 3 months, he said, "You know what? I'm kind of tired of the oil business, and I'll let you tell him."
I mean, so I was in the oil field for one thing, and so I wanted to get out of it. So I had some time off and just decided to get a job locally here. I ended up working for Ron Yates for 2 harvests and a little bit in the interim, 17 and 18. And after planning here and going through the Texas Tech program, getting that certificate in 2018, we just decided back in 16 to go ahead and start planting grapes. And from then it just kind of morphed into waiting a long time to sell wine to hurrying up the process and started to make wine sooner than later. So we ferment with planted grapes and Texas Hill Country grapes, so we also make estate wine as well. So we have some in barrel, and we just bottled our estate Sangiovese, and we also have a Mourvèdre rosé that's planted a small 500 plant lot. We're really happy about a Provence style rosé, 14.5% alcohol. So we have a bunch of upcoming releases. We're just waiting through this whole thing just like everyone else, and about to label and ready to sell and present to you.
So we're in this weird situation where no one ever imagined we would be living through a pandemic in 2020, but that's where we are. So we're all trying to navigate this. So here's where this, you know, kind of getting creative and trying to stay relevant, stay in front of your customers. I mean, this is a very raw video. I'm not editing it. There's no professional equipment. It's my iPad. I mean, so thank you guys. I'm not editing it. I'm not setting up your beard. No, it is what
Turn that light on.
So I appreciate you guys jumping in with me and being the first recorded video. You guys have said a couple things that.
Oh, don't show that picture.
Oh, we lost you, Amy.
We'll have those pictures.
Where'd she go?
Yay! I don't know what happened, but you fixed it. Okay, can y'all hear me?
Perfectly.
Perfect timing, because I just said no professional equipment, no editing, and the whole thing craps out on us, right? So two things that you guys said a moment ago. One was kind of talking about estate. So I think you guys are planning on not being more of that boutique winery, staying in control of the grapes, staying in control of your production decisions, and you're aiming for around 300 cases a year. How many cases are y'all at presently, having just opened in January?
Well, we're at 2,100 cases now.
Okay, awesome. And right now, your grapes are baby grapes, so you're still getting some fruit from the Texas High Plains, but everything is 100% Texas. And you guys have that aim to be 100% estate when you're at full capacity, right?
Well, 100% estate on the right year would be nice, but we're not gonna other growers. But we build real great relationships with our few growers. So we have 2 here in the Hill Country and 2 others right now in Texas High Plains. And we've had luck and success to have real top growers. Our 2019 vintage, we had grapes from Neil Newsom and from Nikki Nara, Rob Parr, and Mason.
Yep.
So we're really lucky to have forged some great relationships with solid, distinguishable grape growers here in the state of Texas. We would like to think of ourselves as the same, so we try to forge a clean vineyard, a clean winery, forge a lot of old ethics into both our vineyard and our winery. But being on the side of the road, having a vineyard scares you a little bit more than if you're having vineyard secluded out where no one can see it, because we got to make sure it always looks pretty and healthy as well.
You drive through ours to get to our tasting room. So if we fail on that, we've lost you from the moment you turned in.
That's a really good point. So you guys have 38 acres. Now, you're not fully planted at this point, but you have room to continue to add fruit. So as you start to approach your goal of 3,000 cases annually, do you see yourselves planting more vines and being able to provide fruit to other? No? Yes.
I promised Michael and the rest of the family and Elena and my parents and my children and their cousins that we would not plant any grapes for the next year or 2. We have a pasture in the back that needs to be cleared, and that's probably a 2-year project to get it ready to plant grapes.
It's about 12 acres, so.
Yeah.
24 acres to 25 acres of grapes. Here, we would produce sufficient numbers to satisfy our needs, but we would still continue because we can't grow everything we'd like to make. So we're even if we were at 25 acres here, we're going to continue buying grapes from the High Plains, and it gives us a different terroir on some of our wines, we think. And it's also you can't grow everything you love. So we're doing pretty good right now with the 8 varieties that we have.
There's wonderful grape growers throughout the state, so it's good to have working relationships and learn from them. Hopefully they can learn something from you as well, whether it's the winemaking or the vineyard processes.
Well, and another thing, like in a year like this, the High Plains have been hit with an early freeze in October. We got hit with 2 inches to 3 inches of snow over the last few days.
This week, yeah.
That same thing can happen here. A year ago, our neighbor's narrow path got taken out by a hailstorm. We were lucky enough that it didn't hit us.
It's only a couple miles away from here.
It's very close. And so you can't, to rely completely on estate grapes would be a mistake at some point in the future.
It'd be way more stressful for sure. So y'all are Texas boys. You grew up in Kingsland outside of Houston, and I mentioned the time you spent in California, but I wanted everyone to know that you weren't driving around California because you're California boys. So you're Texans. And one thing, and I'd like to know if you guys agree with this, but I think you do. One thing that I find very refreshing in this industry in Texas is how collaborative people are. So you've mentioned already, narrow path right down the street from you, Ron Yates. You've mentioned, the growers, Parr and Nara and Newsom, and coming from a background that was not the wine world. It's not every industry and it's not every state that has this collaborative feel where people want to help each other out and people want to elevate the industry as a whole, and they don't see every new winery that opens as competition. We all see each other as just a part of the process, and we have to work together and help each other out to get the industry to that next level in Texas. Is that what you guys are experiencing, not only from your people you pay because you're buying their grapes, but just from the people you've met over these years since y'all started the project back in 16?
Well, I mean, just from a very recent standpoint, probably 50% of our business over the first 9 weeks that we were able to have people in our tasting room, those folks were sent by our neighboring wineries.
And our neighbors.
But Cicada, Pertinalis, Narrow Path, 12 Fires, Ab Astris, Ron Yates, Horn, William and Chris. I mean, yeah, that I did.
You know, the point is that a lot of our neighbors have sent people over, and we have tried to send as many people to everyone else around here. I think a lot of people are starting to visit a lot of new places because there's a lot opening up now. It's kind of exciting. I think a lot more people are also looking at this area for consideration for outdoor hikes and Chan Rock and away more so now than it ever have been. So
Right.
Yeah.
So there's as you just said, there's a lot of new places that have opened up. So is there anything particular that you think really sets you guys apart that would be something we could tell guests, hey, if you like this, you really should go here? Anything jump to mind?
Well, I'll take this at first. I don't think we're necessarily doing anything different than everyone else is doing, but I do think there are some wineries that have more in common with us. Narrow Path being single family owned. They're not only grapes, they're also making their own wine. They're also, Ab Astris is also doing the same. I don't know him very well, but I see him all the time in town and know that he's out there working. See their pictures and their progress dripping their wines as well. Coleman Cellars is also a family-run estate vineyard. And not that any other, High Meadow with Mike Baytek, he takes care of close to 10 acres. So, we could name names all day of people who grow their own grapes, but really having the small core groups of winemakers and whatnot here as our neighbors has been really nice. We learn a lot. Hopefully, we can really set this area aside for state-grown fruit. I believe that this whole area has soil and terroir attributes that help the grapes take on better technique.
I think one day you'll see the Pertinalis River Basin, this area as its own AVA, set apart inside of the Fredericksburg AVA, because it's got a very unique structure, not only to its soils and which provide a terroir to the grapes that we think set it a bit apart from other areas in the
Climate,
micro
temperatures, its location by the river.
That the ABA conversation is a topic that can get very heated, but I think I'm in the same wheelhouse with you guys, that I think that is one of the defining factors we're going to need to help grow the industry, is having more defined sub appellations. I think we're gonna need that to happen in the next couple of years.
I don't want to form a lobbyist group or anything like that. I think that can happen naturally amongst.
I'm going to the state legislature to get the ABA pushed through in 2000.
Progress is as a business, the professionals within the business help shape laws and kind of create their own. So then you go, well, okay, make that a law, because we're already doing it. And I believe that's an easy thing to get to when it comes to locality, terroir, geography. I mean, sub-AVAs will emerge naturally. Pushing it out, I like to use the terminology and speaking, and if you actually want to Google the USGS soil survey, you will see that the percentage of soil and area within about a mile of the Pertinalis River on each side, some shorter, some longer, but mostly that's the Pedernales River Basin. So there's a few deposits within that, but a lot of that sandy clay loam. Real healthy soil. You can look at our neighbors growing peaches, pecans, raising sheep, and high dollar cattle that you can grow stuff out here. It's good for certain crops that are well managed.
We live on a family piece of property out here, not too far from you guys. We're on the other side of Stonewall, but just a few miles down from y'all's turn. You're on 1623, right? But our property butts up. We're on 22 acres that butts up to the Pedernales. And I am absolutely convinced that there's a really good spot out here to grow some grapes, but but I don't own the land, so I'm not planting any out here.
Taken from this conversation is we've just discovered somebody we can go over to swim at their house.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. You bring the wine, I'll provide the water hole.
Because after being in the field all day in July and August, Michael and I always look at each other and say, we need to go to the river or build a pool. So
it's real pretty, and the river is a little ways back from where the house is, so there's definite privacy. So so it's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll have y'all out sometime. So I'm going to backtrack just a quick second, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. But I had asked about what might make y'all a little different. And one of the things I think makes you different even just comes from the name. Adega Vinho is Portuguese. And correct me if I'm wrong, it means wine house, right?
wine house or wine cellar.
So you guys, as far as your estate, you do have some Portuguese varietals planted, which there is not a lot of acreage of in Texas. However, those guys that have planted them in years past are finding that they're doing really well here because our microclimate is so close to Portugal, especially that Douro region. So that's something that as your vines develop and you get that mature fruit, I think that'll be something fun to see, being able to direct folks to visit you guys and try some varietals that they don't recognize by name, which is kind of what I like to do. I like to make people get uncomfortable. Don't just go order a cab because you always get a cab. Get something a little different, you know, get something that's in that same wheelhouse as cab that has a funky name that you maybe won't say right.
Some of the most fun things I think I've experienced in the tasting room, Michael experienced this, he's worked at Vineyards in the tasting room in the past, but one of the things I enjoy is the challenge of when somebody comes in and says, well, I like Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
I like a Chardonnay. I love that too. And then the explanation of why we don't have that, why we're growing what we're growing, why the wine that we're making is more fitting for this area. And you know, I think I told you this the other day, but that's a beautiful rosé.
It is quite lovely, isn't it? This is the Sangiovese rosé.
Nice lighting.
Well, and I will.
Quite nice.
So I would just say that, you know, Texas is lucky. We get a lot of people who love wine, and that's their entire knowledge of wine is that they just like wine. And you're going to serve them 7 or 8 or 10, depending on what winery you go to, and they may like 2 or they may like 10. But the real satisfaction comes from watching them discover something new. Say, I've never even heard of this, or say, I don't like white wines, and then they buy a bottle of our Viognier and say, this is the first bottle of white wine I've ever bought. And I said, that's wonderful. And so those are the kind of things that never really came into the equation for me thinking about opening a winery and growing grapes and all of those things. There's a definite, the cherry on the top of all of it is watching people come in and enjoy everything and enjoy your wine.
Yeah.
We put a lot of thought and consideration in our hospitality. We like to see that, you know, we like to see people come and have a good time. And not only our wines reflect that, but I think our area does as well, and our attitudes. And just everyone here is usually having a good time drinking wine, good wine.
part of the beauty of it being a family affair is that everyone who's helping the customers is invested. So everyone has their heart, each one of you, and your wife Tiffany and y'all's kids and Christian, who I've met. Everyone has their heart in it because they have to.
Yeah.
You're probably not paying them much. You know, they don't get to call in sick, but the average customer who comes in may not know that you're all family, but they will feel a difference in the way they're treated, because you each have your heart and soul in it.
Thank you. We pay a lot of attention to the hospitality. That's why
Yeah.
it comes naturally because, we like to experience the same thing. So, everyone does.
Treat people the way you want to be treated, right? The golden rule. Okay, so last thing before we sign off tonight, I'm going to put you each on the spot. What is your favorite wine of the lineup that you have there in front of you?
Well, that's easy.
Easy. Portisol.
That's the blend?
That is the blend. That is the 50% Morvan, the 50% Tempranillo.
2017.
It means sunset in Portuguese.
I've got the Cuvée. I was trying to remember which blend I liked. I've got the Cuvée, which is the Touriga Merlot blend, right?
Yes. Can I tell you something real quick?
What's that?
Well, I'll tell you something special about that wine real quick.
Yeah.
Well, the Touriga Merlot, the Touriga Nacional was grown in Mason County, Laughlin,
Robert Clay Vineyards.
at Robert Clay Vineyards. And
Okay.
we weren't on par to get that fruit, but we had the opportunity to buy a ton and a half of it, so we did. And so that was sort of a last minute fermentation in 2018.
Which we ran up to pick.
Which we went up there to pick it. So we picked it, Andy, myself, and my wife and her family, and we just hand-picked it. We brought it back, and we crushed 75% of it and did a 25% inclusion of full cluster and then fermentation. And then it really turned out to be a real nice wine, real high alcohol. So we were able to blend it with a Merlot that complemented it well. And it smoothed out to be a very nice wine.
The Merlot had a very big berry, velvety mouthfeel to it, so the two went together really, really well.
Yeah.
Where'd the Merlot come from?
And so the Merlot came from Nara Vineyards in Brownfield, Texas.
Okay.
So that's
We don't have a whole lot of Merlot in the state, so I was curious. There's not.
That's one of our favorite varietals. And
You've exposed us.
I wish that people could say, oh, we would have planted some Merlot. We didn't. Now, if we're looking back on it, maybe we should have. But it has really turned out, especially Low Country Merlot, to be one of our favorites.
Very versatile.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Merlot. I think it's underappreciated. It's so great for blends. It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful wine, and it lends itself to a lot of warm attributes that we get a high sugar on it and create a higher alcohol wine that still has a lot of red cherryness to it. It's just a wonderful varietal.
Yeah.
But I believe the same thing.
Do all three of you agree on your favorite?
Well, no, the Cuvée is my favorite. And
Okay.
So is mine, but I also enjoy our Morvan, which we're drinking now. So it's just a beautiful wine as well.
Now, do you like the regular or the reserve?
Well, you're the only person who's had the reserve.
Oh! Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've only had maybe 1 or 2 bottles of it, so I'm gonna. Thank you.
I don't have any, but I tried it.
Well, I'm glad you did. It was a wonderful wine as well. So we like to try to stay true to the fruit, and I do select yeast for most of our wines, and I try to make that varietal specific yeast and things that do well for the fermentation, so that I take into account the temperature, when and where we do it, everything's planned out before we enter fermentation. Yeah, some unique qualities about us is that we monitor a lot of our fruit because we love it. We want to make sure we get some of the highest quality fruit we can to make some of the best wine. That's the easiest wine to make is from perfect fruit. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that subpar fruit or shitty fruit won't make good wine. Sometimes that's just an extra challenge. So
Takes more work. Yeah.
It is. Michael spends the year planning for harvest. In his mind, although it bothers me a lot sometimes, in his mind, we've already started harvest. And so Michael will have a map out of it, and we'll talk about what we're making, what we think we're going to make, what might go well, what not, what kind of yeast are we going to use, where are we heading with all of this. And then as the fruit starts to roll in, you have to be dynamic and willing to make some changes. So if things come in and it's a lower sugar or a higher sugar, you may have to adjust what kind of yeast you're using to survive with that type of bricks content. And so we're constantly looking at it. And, Michael spends probably 50 or 60% of his time every year trying to come up with what he thinks is the best plan. Some of that he comes up with himself, and some of that he comes up with from the past experiences he's had.
He's learning. It's like anything. So you
Yeah.
gotta learn. In some ways work better.
I like the planning ahead and attention to detail, though. That's definitely appeals to my wheelhouse, the way I operate. So.
OCD attention to detail. You don't have to be OCD. But when you
A little bit, just a little bit. Yeah.
I think some things require protocol, like a vineyard, but you need to be able to be dynamic and be present. And if you can be present and be dynamic and be there, whether you're working by yourself or with a team, those teams may be a family, whoever it is, you need to be able to spray sometimes at 4:30, 5 a.m. in the morning and get the job done.
Yeah.
Or 2 in the morning in some cases. You need to be able to plan ahead and know how grapes grow and understand the processes, when to spray. Sometimes you don't need to use a crazy heavy spray program. If you can be timely and accurate about your vineyard maintenance and do things on time, set time accurate tasks and carry out those tasks.
If you don't let things get out of control,
and we do all the time. We're not
Right.
If you don't let them get out of control, then you don't have to go in there and nuke your field. You can go in there with a lot less active sprays and still get the same result by just being up on top of it.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Catching it early.
So one thing about vineyards that I think I would take out from this whole thing and learning from what I have and talking to others is that probably your soil is your largest attribute, and the way you take care of that isn't like a seasonal option or a seasonal task. It's a multi-year task.
Right.
You need your field to be the soil to be the right dynamics as far as microbes, as far as native plants living there, as far as keep eradicating weeds naturally and things like that. I think that's a plan that is achieved through management. And I think at first you're battling a lot of elements. Just you're battling elements of lots of weeds and grasses that you can't control, unfortunately, by hand filling, which maybe you can achieve results later, 5-6 years when you build a more dynamic soil. So sometimes management of soils is step back. Overall, end result over a few years of management, you can achieve things like no-till farming. But to have the idea that you can just bless the earth by standing on it, that you have to work for that goal. And that goal often, for us is a very, very extreme minimal herbicide use, and sometimes you don't use it at all. We also use timely tillage and rototilling about twice a year. We also have a heavy rotation on our cover crops in our vineyard of rye, radish, daikon radish, and also oat, bob oat we have out there.
A lot of nutrients back in the soil.
So we also,
That's something I don't see as much of in the hill country as we see in other regions in the U.S. is that ground cover between the vines to help with the nutrients. Some people will say it even helps attract pests away from the vines, so you don't have to use as much in the way of the sprays and pesticides. So that's great that you guys are heading down that path. You're obviously not aiming to be organic because that's nearly impossible to do here in the hill country and actually have usable fruit. But at the same time, you can still make good decisions and make decisions that are going to be earth friendly and help with the longevity of your property. And in the long run, you end up with really good quality fruit. You just do the things you have to do to get where you need to get, right?
We like to say we work very hard at being a sustainable agricultural endeavor. And, you know, because it's family out there, I don't want Michael spraying something that, you know, when I'm in my 70s, he tells me, you know, geez, I got freaking cancer from spraying all that stuff. You know, our dogs are out there, our family's out there. We put dogs on purpose. You know, we
in some
have,
cases, yes.
you know, we see in the middle. We have a house that all of us stay at least 3 or 4 nights a week. That's in the middle of our field. Whatever we're spraying, we're sleeping in. So we're very, very conscious about what we're doing. If we lived in Washington or Oregon, we wouldn't have to spray anything. And that would be a really
Right.
farming.
Welcome to Texas grape growing, right?
I believe that organics can continue on a small level profitably, but I believe you need to have a lot of money to pony up organically and a lot of labor.
Yeah.
And we're not, on a small level, it's very achievable. And I know a few people who have organic vineyards here in the hill country that are doing thriving, but they also are spending a lot of time in the vineyard, and they're constantly using adjuncts and natural remedies as opposed to synthetic fertilizer or synthetic fungicides. I digress, but we do take a lot of pride in our vineyard and the fruit that comes off of it in the wine. I can't press that enough because those are some of the distinguishing characteristics.
So I have 2 things that I'm gonna tell folks to be on the lookout for. One is an elevated tasting experience that we are working together to come up with. And the other is that when you get past that 2-year mark that you promised the family you weren't gonna plant any vines, we will look for some Merlot to be planted.
Awesome plan.
Thank you guys for spending the evening with me. I appreciate y'all, and I will be out to try some of those new releases here in the near future and see what fun stuff, because that's a different rosé than the one I have. So just saying. Thanks, guys.
Wow.
Cheers.